My name is Trent Gow. It's my privilege to be the moderator tonight. Welcome to the City of Owen Sound 2018 Municipal All Candidates meeting hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, the Owen Sound and District Chamber of Commerce, and the Owen Sound Downtown Improvement Area. Because there are so many candidates, the Chamber and the DIA have created a format for a meeting tonight in order to provide an opportunity for all the candidates to be heard and seen. I hope someone's got a picture of this. It's a great picture. And this one too. There's a wonderful turnout. The format was provided to the candidates last week, and copies of the format have been distributed to you, the audience, prior to the start of the meeting. A short time ago, candidates drew randomly from the grouping, from a box, select the grouping that they are now assigned, and a timer will inform each candidate when they have 30 seconds left in which to respond and when their time is finished. The challenge of this, as you know, is we have a couple of hours, and there are so many candidates, which is a wonderful statement about democracy in Owen Sound. But it means that we would like to have had more time for each candidate to answer, but it just wasn't possible. And it's very important to be fair. And the best thing I can do is go quickly through my stuff to give them more time. In the first hour of this meeting tonight, candidates will be asked questions which have been prepared by the Chamber and by the DIA together. These questions have not been shared with the candidates prior to the meeting. In the second hour, written questions from the audience will be selected at random by me. They will be vetted by others simply for duplication and clarity. We're not censoring anything, I can assure you of that. In submitting your question, please identify if your question is directed to the mayoral or deputy mayor candidate or one of the group of councillor candidates. Can you all see them back there? There are 5 such groups. Time does not permit that every candidate, unfortunately, answer each question. All of us in attending this meeting expect that it will be conducted with respect and decorum. Anyone interrupting the meeting, whether they be an audience or a candidate, will be escorted from the premises by security. I'm sure that's not going to happen, but it's important to establish that. And we're only talking about things that are really untoward. I would also like to mention that this meeting tonight is not a debate. It's an opportunity for you to learn about the candidates, for them to communicate their messages to you, to hear their ideas, and how best they can represent you at City Council. So let's begin. Each candidate has been given 60 seconds for an opening statement to introduce themselves and state the top 3 issues they will focus on as a member of City Council. I'll start at they call it the lower level. That's probably, I know municipalities don't like to be called the lower tier. In many ways, it's the most important tier, but we'll start at the mayoral candidates, then deputy mayoral candidates, and then to each group of councillor candidates, starting with the first group. So maybe we can go in this group left to right, if that's convenient. You have the honor of the first statement.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ray Botton. I'm running for mayor. In this time in Owen Sound, we need to know the truth, and right now, it's not happy. It's not happy because there are many people falling through the cracks, whether you're rich or poor. I'm here because those who are needy need to be represented. Our downtown core, I'm going to during my administration, I'm going to have the downtown become no parking, and it'll be a green area throughout 2nd Avenue East. And lastly, I just want to say that without you, we wouldn't be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ian Boddy. I'm currently the mayor of Owen Sound. 4 years ago, the voters of Owen Sound wanted change. They wanted a council that would work together, get along with, get moving on long lingering issues, manage the budget efficiently, and get Owen Sound progressing again. This council has worked very hard together to do that, and I think we've been successful so far. But we still have a lot to do yet. We've poured a foundation. Now it's time to build our community on it. So 3 issues that I want to continue to work on is growing the community, growing the tax base. The more taxpayers we have, the more we can afford the services that we want to provide and be able to lower the cost for everybody. Growth is the most important thing that I think we can do to do that. We want to continue to manage our costs. Working with our neighboring municipalities to find services that we can share and cut those costs, and continue to build our community together. We've started with the River Precinct Plan, done some park renewal. We want to continue to do that so that we are bettering our community for everybody. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy Lee Rosemont. I would love to be mayor of Owen Sound. I'm sort of late getting into this race because I've had family matters that have cropped up on me, so I apologize for that. I'm an environmentalist, and you won't see that much paper trail out there. I believe if we can vote online, then we should be able to educate and get informed online. Tourism is big for Owen Sound, and I believe that we should have bicycle paths and bring the bicycle tourists to Owen Sound. I also believe we need industry to keep our children here. We have a big brain drain. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Brian O'Leary. I take the job of Deputy Mayor very seriously. I will rely on the experience I've gained over the past 4 years as a City Councillor, and that will serve as a valuable stepping stone in making this transition. With your blessing, I will approach Grey County Council with the same level of passion, dedication, and commitment, ensuring the voice of Owen Sound is heard. On the city side, I want to help create a positive environment for growth, business, and development. I want to help create a thriving downtown where business will flourish and people will want to come. Complementary parking and projects like the Downtown River Precinct will play an important role in making this a reality. I will continue to push for development on our harbour front. On the county side, I want to assist in bringing to fruition the Skilled Trades and Innovation Centre through partnerships with the City, Georgian College, and the Board of Education. I want to continue the fight and support for the SWIFT initiative in obtaining ultra-high-speed broadband. I will challenge whoever can to secure attainable housing for low-income families.
Thank you. So we'll now do the 5 groups. First group 1 is here, and we're going to go left to right. So Mr. Lemon, would you start, please?
Thank you. What are the 3 biggest projects for Owen Sound in the next 4 years? I believe the first is minimizing the impact of the 10th Street Bridge reconstruction while increasing the traffic capacity of 10th Street when the bridge is completed. But we must fast-track this construction because it's going to be detrimental to the downtown and an inconvenience whether you live on the east side or the west side. Encouraging new residential, industrial, and commercial development to generate more municipal tax, and this will help us control the tax level in the community. Grow tax income while controlling costs. The third thing is growing tourism. The River Precinct, the harbor. Let's move ahead and make Owen Sound the tourist capital of Grey and Bruce counties.
My name is Riel Warlow. I was born and raised here. I moved away to go to school and start my career. I've had the good fortune to travel all over the country for my work with the Canadian Coast Guard, initially doing search and rescue and then later teaching it. The move to teaching meant that I got to be based out of Owen Sound, but I was still traveling a lot because my area of responsibility covered the Arctic. Finding work in Owen Sound has allowed me to be in Owen Sound full time, so it was the perfect time for me to run for council and continue to serve, but in a new way. My experience makes me most qualified to speak to issues surrounding the harbour, tourism, and downtown revitalization.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Thomas. I'm pretty proud of what we've achieved in my first term on council, and I'd like to continue that work. I support the continuation of the development charge holiday. In 2017, building permits hit a 27-year high in Owen Sound, and we really need this growth to continue. I'm committed to continuing our efforts to reduce the cost of emergency services. I have nothing but respect for the employees of these organizations, but we can no longer afford to spend half our annual budget on police and fire. I'm committed to bringing affordable high-speed internet to Owen Sound through the SWIFT project. When it comes time for you to vote, I'd like you to consider supporting me. I stand for 4 more years of growth and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to group 2, starting on the left with Marion.
Is this mic? Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name's Marion Kepke. I'm currently a councillor and seeking re-election. The top 3 issues I feel, because council is already moving in the right directions with infrastructure and development, my top 3 priorities would be improvements and growth of the downtown area, specifically as they relate to parking, vacancy rebates, expansion of the river precinct, replacement of the 10th Street Bridge. Second is enhancements to encourage the use of the harbour area for festivals and events, for artisans to have booths along the harbour, and to attract tourists. My third topic is affordable housing, encouraging developers to include a portion of affordable housing in their mix of large development areas, and to continue working with the County of Grey and the Nonprofit Housing Corporation to provide affordable housing for those in need.
Good evening. My name is Travis Dodd. First off, I'd like to thank the residents of Owen Sound for placing their trust in me for over the past 4 years. I was fortunate to represent the residents of Owen Sound, and it has shown me how much Owen Sound has to offer. As a young professional in our community, a Kiwanian, a big brother, co-organizer for the Young Professionals Network, that I live and work downtown. I believe in local business. I believe in our downtown community. I believe in celebrating our story that promotes economic growth and retention for both our residents and businesses. I believe in a safe, healthy, and inclusive community for all our residents. And I believe in collaborative partnerships on a regional level to help generate efficiencies and cost savings for everyone. I bring to the table dedication, leadership, and an open mind. If elected, I will promise to apply these principles to the decisions made in the future. I believe in the city. I believe in the opportunities the city has, and I want to be part of the team that continues to help make Owen Sound a better place tomorrow than it is today.
John Tamming. It's good to be here tonight, and I noticed my wife, Wendy Bai, is in the gallery. I think she's the one who told me not to wear a tie. Thank you, Wendy. We have raised, I better hurry up. We have raised 6 kids in this area. I love Owen Sound. I am crazy about this town. I don't like rhetoric, so I'll be very quick. Number 1, I want to encourage the arts as much as possible. I've got a track record of that. The gallery had a setback. Let's fix it. 10 years from now, nobody will remember the setback. I want to remember a great gallery. 2, fire and police. It is nuts. Richard hinted at this. I love the people. It is nuts to spend what we are spending on 31 full-time firefighters and $8 million on police. That has to end. But my real passion isn't that, because that's an easy fix. The real passion is fixing the downtown. And I believe we should hire an independent from out-of-town director, call her the director of downtown, and I think it's time to employ property standards ruthlessly, I have a lot of ideas. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. We'll now go to group 3.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brock Hamley. I'm running for city council. I'm incredibly lucky. I bounced around a lot as a kid because my dad was a professional lacrosse coach, Bob Hamley. He's in the Owen Sound Sports Hall of Fame now. I've lived in Phoenix and Edmonton and Denver. But I'm lucky. After I finished my education and started my career, I had the choice to come back to Owen Sound. I don't think a lot of people my age or the people coming up behind me have that opportunity. And I'm really running to try and create those opportunities for people. So, thank you.
First, I just want to say it's awesome, this turnout. Like, give yourselves a clap. I think this is great how many people came out. And 3 things that are important to me. Number 1, transparency within current council and mayor. There's too many rumors that go around this small community that people are unaware of what's going on. Number 2, the harbor. I read a 1977 study that they deemed it one of the most toxic harbors in the area. Nothing's been done. Enough is enough. Downtown, I'm in agreement with John, and I had said we need an independent committee of musicians, artisans, and craft people to give us ideas to revitalize that core. Thanks.
Could you just mention your name, please?
Oh, sorry, it's Steve Hensa, the mortgage guy on the 10th Street Bridge.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jackie Fertner. I grew up in Owen Sound. I own Bear Birch downtown, and I'm the vice chair of the Downtown Improvement Area. Thank you to everyone who's here tonight or watching from home and for taking the time to engage in this election. I have 3 main issues I'd like to focus on if elected. I would work to grow the tax base to help support all our services to provide a higher quality of life for everyone who lives here. I will work to make our city safe and inclusive through community development, revitalization initiatives, and proactive crime prevention. I will work to make municipal processes more accessible and to have more meaningful public consultation. When we take inventory of our assets, we often forget that our people are our best ones. Let's take advantage of the experiences and the perspectives that we have right here in our own community. Each of these issues include many components, and tonight I'm hoping we'll get into more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll turn to the next group. Bill, would you start, please?
Thank you. I'm Bill Twaddle. For almost 25 years, I've helped make the decisions that protect and enhance this community on city advisory committees and boards, as chair of Source Water Protection, and for 17 years as a city councillor. I do my homework, I ask the tough questions, I bring thoughtful and informed judgment to the issues. We face many challenges, including creating a climate to protect existing business, especially in the downtown, and to encourage new growth. 3 areas of focus: a renewed community improvement plan with financial incentives for property owners to improve their properties, a focus on property standards, especially downtown and on the waterfront, and a long-term program to promote and enhance the natural features we all appreciate and value. I have the experience and the proven commitment necessary to meet these challenges. You should expect no less. I ask for your support in October. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Gregg. 4 years ago, I asked for your support to bring my energy, passion, and commitment to move this city forward. Despite considerable punches sustained, including approximately $2 million in frozen water pipes, 2 severe acts of arson, and several school closures, our community is currently one with significant optimism. Large investments made for 8th Street East development have occurred. Recent manufacturing investments and expansions are providing good jobs. These are necessary to enhance the resiliency of our community and tax base. Moving forward, I will continue to strongly support growth initiatives, as I believe we have the facilities and resources to serve 25,000 residents. We need to grow in a responsible and sustainable manner, which will lessen your tax burden. I will support investments in our roads, because poor roads hit the taxpayer hard in the pocketbook and leave a poor first impression of our community to visitors. Our next priority is strengthening our downtown and community through the obvious extreme stress of the 10th Street Bridge reconstruction. Thank you for your engagement here tonight, and I politely ask for your vote again.
Hello. My name is Carol Merton, and I am running for City Councillor because I want to serve you and our community. I want to be a representative voice for you. I want to bring a new viewpoint to Council, and I want to support and improve our city now for future generations. After listening to voters at 3,000 doors and reading several hundred online responses to my questionnaire, the 3 top issues I will work hard for you are encouraging development of a vibrant and attractive downtown and harbor area that draws people to our city, safe, welcoming, healthy neighborhoods, adequate, affordable, and accessible housing. I believe in transparency and openness in our city process and practices, and I hope you will vote for me, Carol Merton, in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gail McCartney, and I'm running for the first time for Owen Sound City Council. Thank you very much for inviting me here from the Chamber and from the DIA. I'm honored to be here. I'm excited to see all these people here. I'm also very excited about Owen Sound and its future. This is a good time. Good things are happening. I give credit to the current council. They've worked hard to get a lot of initiatives underway. Things are happening. I really want to be part of that as that goes forward, that we can work together. I'm very concerned with increasing revenues because we can't do the things we want to do if we don't have the funds to do it, which we all realize, and we can't just keep raising taxes because we can't do it. I fully support growth and development as a way to fund all of the things that will make Owen Sound better, even though it's pretty awesome right now. Thanks so much. Gail McCartney.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Danae Moores and a City Council candidate for this upcoming election. Thank you to those who have attended this evening and those watching from home. It is a very important evening for all of us to learn about each candidate running. It's also very important for me as it gives me the opportunity to earn your support. Sequencing, increasing industry, and retention of small businesses, small families, and medical doctors to our area are three of my top 3 focuses in this upcoming election. I ask for your support in October. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really well done. You know, that the sign, I think you were looking forward to cutting people off. You didn't get to do it. So thank you. We now have 3 rapid fire questions. They're really just looking for yes, no answers. We'll get into more discussion in a second. But I would ask when each of you, and I'm going to go right through the group, just to say your name, because it's important to link you to your platform. People have heard your names, but this is a way to just repeat them, please. So I'll start with you. Do you support free parking through downtown Owen Sound to promote business activity?
Yes.
Your name?
My name is Ray Botton.
Yeah, Ian Body, yes.
Nancy, yes.
Brian O'Leary, yes.
John Tannen, yes. Travis Dodd, yes.
Marion Kepke, yes.
Jackie Fertner, yes.
Steve Hensa, definitely.
Brock Hamley, yes.
Carol Merton, yes.
Scott Gregg, no.
Bill Twaddle, yes.
Danae Moores, yes.
Gail McCartney, yes.
There seemed to be, did I miss someone? I'm sorry.
You missed
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter and Drew.
Peter
I
Lemon.
have a poor attention span.
Peter Lemon, yes.
Riel Warlow, yes.
Richard Thomas, yes.
So that is a large group, and you can hold them accountable for that. I was looking forward to the yeses because all these parking tickets I get when I come here, I wouldn't have them any longer. But that second question, should Owen Sound continue to own and subsidize the Billy Bishop Airport?
I couldn't hear you. Could you say that again?
Should Owen Sound continue to own and subsidize the Billy Bishop Airport?
No.
Ian Body, it's complicated, but it's yes.
Nancy Lee Rosemond, again, I believe it's complicated, but yes.
Brian O'Leary, yes.
I got it right this time.
Peter Lemon, yes, although it is complicated and we have tried to reduce the cost. Sorry. I might have been long-winded.
Riel Warlow, no.
Has anyone said it's complicated yet? Richard Thomas, yes.
Marion Kepke, yes.
Travis Dodd, yes.
John Tamming, no.
Jackie Fertner, yes.
Steve Hensa, no.
Brock Hamley, no.
Carol Merton, yes.
Scott Gregg, yes.
Bill Twaddle, yes.
Danae Moores, yes.
Gail McCartney, yes.
Thank you. Third question. Should Owen Sound develop a strategy to divest its subsidy and management of the Tom Thompson Art Gallery? You heard that?
Ray Botten, no.
Ian Body, absolutely no.
Nancy Lee Rosemond, complicated, but no.
Brian O'Leary, no.
Peter Lemon, no.
Riel Warlow, no.
Richard Thomas, no.
Key, no.
Travis Dodd, no.
John Tamming, down the road.
That's not a yes or no.
Not at this time.
Jackie Fertner, no.
Steve Hensa, no.
Brock Hamley, definitely not.
Carol Merton, no.
Scott Gregg knows.
Bill Twaddle, no.
Danae Moores, no.
Gail McCartney, no.
Thank you. We're now going to turn to some more detailed questions. And again, the time is short because we only have 60 seconds. The first question will be directed to the deputy mayoral table.
Yeah, I know.
And here it is. At an all-candidates meeting last night held in Georgian Bluffs, it was stated that recently the acting CAO of that township approached Owen Sound to discuss the possibility of sharing some services. It was reported that Owen Sound chose not to meet. Under what conditions or circumstances should Owen Sound be prepared to engage in those discussions? And I should say the premise of that question was given to me. I don't know if it's accurate, but I'll turn to my answerers to respond. And I'm going to start at the other end of the table just for fun this time.
Okay, Brian O'Leary, I'm not sure what was discussed, but I think with most discussions with municipalities outside of Owen Sound, it starts with our water. And if other municipalities want to have our water, they're going to have to give up a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. But I think it's going to come to more than that. I think the government that's in power now, I think we're looking towards something like that anyways. If he's only starting now in Toronto, who knows what we're going to be, but it's looking like we're going to have to expand into other municipalities at some point.
It would be nice to know what they discussed, but I think discussions are great, and I think we should continue, and we should make the public aware of them. I think there should be, this should be open to all residents of Owen Sound.
Yeah, Ian Body, I think I've got a very good relationship with the mayor of Georgian Bluffs, and we have lots of discussions, many of them casual. I have no knowledge of their CAO contacting the city and not having a discussion. There's questions from time to time about water. That's not talking about sharing services, that's talking about us providing them with a new service. That's a little bit different than a share service. I'm all for sharing services, and we're all open and always open to discuss anything with any of our neighbors throughout Grey County.
Ray Botten, I believe that everything rises and falls with relationship. So when another municipality wants to share something, if we're not open, then we're just closed. That being said, the service agreements or those over the years that are starting to form tells me one thing, and which I shared back when 8 years ago when I ran for mayor, is that Owen Sound is the hub for all these municipalities. So Meaford, Georgian Bluffs, we're going to become one city, whether we see it or not. That's what's going to happen. So we need to start working together, and this is a long-term plan, but it needs to happen now.
Thank you. I have one question for the deputy mayor candidate, and it relates to the role of the deputy mayor In March of this year, the municipality of Huron East, the council voted to eliminate the position. They took a narrow financial kind of perspective and said this will save us $40,000. But what do you see as the special role or the contribution that a deputy mayor could make to a council like Owen Sound?
Well, I think for me, it's the providing social services. Like, we really count on the county for kind of being the king of social services, and we have a real problem with attainable, affordable housing for low-income people, and I think that we have to be knocking on the door. So that's one thing that we could do for sure.
Thank you. I'm now going to turn to the groups. In Group 1, maybe we'll start with Richard on this one. Do you support the KCB Fire Services assessment recommendation to reduce the minimum of on-duty fire suppression staffing from 5 to 4 firefighters and the creation of a new fire service by combining the Owen Sound Fire and Emergency Services and the Inter-Township Fire Department? I apologize, the question's quite technical in a way, but it gets to the question with respect to how much money you spend on fire services and police. So Richard, maybe you could start.
I absolutely do support the findings of that report. I voted in favor of it when it came before council, and I think in my opening comments I made it pretty clear that Owen Sound can no longer afford to sustain the kind of emergency services costs that we have. We have a huge infrastructure deficit in Owen Sound that we need to address, and as long as we continue paying beyond our means for certain services, we're not going to be able to address those other issues. So I stand 100% in favor of the report and would like to see it implemented as quickly as possible.
Riel Warlow. I think that the report's findings were very interesting, but I don't think that it necessarily paints a full picture of what emergency services should look like in Owen Sound. I think that if we're hoping to expand the size of the population in Owen Sound, we shouldn't be going backwards as far as service coverage goes. We have a professional fire department, which is an absolute bonus for a town this size, and if we go to a composite force, it's very unlikely that we'll ever be able to regain our professional status. I think that if we talk with the union a little bit more, I know that in casual conversations with the union rep at the fire department, he has said that they have tried to provide other cost-saving measures to the city, but mostly it's been met with less than open arms. So I think that there's ways that we can cut the budget without cutting the amount of folks who are on call. It's mostly a safety issue going down to 4.
Peter Lemon. I unequivocally support the 4-man fire hall. This is about the standard in Ontario, and most of them are manned, if they're full-time, with 4 fire officers. I think this is a cost saving that is achievable. It will save the taxpayers of Owen Sound and continue with a safe community. Our taxes are going up. Why? Because close to 50% of our budget goes to emergency services, and I think we've got a Cadillac when a Ford Escape would do. That's my answer, but I support, and we have been trying to work with our fire union, but they will not allow us to make the reductions we need.
Thank you. Just before I go to the next group, Peter, are people writing down questions? Because the next half of this event is going to be questions from the audience. Have people had access to paper and have written questions and they're being submitted? Is anyone that wants to write a question that hasn't had access? Okay. There's some at the back here, Peter, so thank you. I just wanted to be sure of that. I'm now going to turn to Group 2, and the question is, group over there. Currently, the City of Owen Sound allows a 30% vacant unit rebate, less taxes if it's vacant for unoccupied property. In 2016-17, Ontario municipalities were granted the option to maintain the current rebate or phase it out. Is there one of these options that you support? And we'll start with Marion.
Thank you. Marion Kepke, and I would support phasing out the vacancy rebate, mainly because I think that it's pretty easy for a landlord to get a rebate and not try and fill their property, and hopefully that some of the apartments up above, some of the stores could be turned into a little more affordable housing if the vacancy rebate weren't there, and maybe a landlord would take a lower rent for that. Also, I think that some of the storefronts might be filled if options were available, and I think basically we really need to dig in the business world and look for places to fill those stores. But I do certainly support phasing out the vacancy rebate.
Travis Dodd. It's actually funny, this is coming into a report to corporate services tomorrow to have the current council take a look at this. Would I phase it out? I'd like to look at why is it vacant? Is it vacant because there's not enough businesses that are going into that storefront? Is it because it's too high of a rate? What should be done is something that they're doing in New Tecumseh. New Tecumseh does pop-up shops in the vacant storefronts. It's one way to beautify our downtown core and one way to help eliminate the vacancies in our downtown. It offers a short-term lease where a small artisan, a small business can go in there and operate into one of these vacant storefronts until a longer agreement can be done. So I would be in support of phasing out the 30% rebate, as long as we also had an option that's in the backup to work with the building owner as well, to help making sure it's a business, making sure that they're not losing any income that would normally be coming in. So once again, I'd say it was the pop-up shops that we could look into this to help fill vacant storefronts, as well as creating options.
John Tamming. It's a bit of a myth, I'm afraid. The 30%, it looks bad. If you think about it, though, a landlord would much rather have positive cash flow than get a discount on a loss they're experiencing every month. What this town really needs, and I think where the question goes, is the vacancies are making this town ugly. My office is a block away from the downtown core. I've walked it for 15 years now. It has become an ugly downtown, and I think we have to face that square on. You can't deal with what you don't admit. There are green shoots everywhere. I'm happy to see them. I'm in favor of hiring from out of town because our current staff is just not focused on it. Hire out of town a downtown director. Give that person all the tools she needs. Get property standards in order. Get the toughest bylaw in Ontario, and make the downtown gorgeous again. I don't want to give up on it.
Thank you. So group 3, today the Ontario government announced its plans for the retail sale of cannabis in Ontario, and municipalities have the option to opt out. So I wonder from group 3, should council approve the creation of a retail cannabis dispensary in this city or not? And why?
Brock Hamley. I don't like the fact that cannabis was legalized in the first place, but I'm cognizant of the fact that there's nothing that you can do about that at the municipal level, and that they are moving forward with it. I think there probably are some very good business opportunities for some small businesses, and so I would support it.
Steve Hensa, definitely have those shops downtown. I was reading reports this morning in Vancouver, Toronto. Those shops promoted so many more businesses, and there was such a positive cash flow injected into the town. It's a legal substance as of October, or I think they've bumped it up to April for online sales. I'm not sure. But definitely, yes, it's 2018. It's just like liquor was before.
Jackie Fertner. Legal cannabis is something we're all going to be living with. It's going to be a matter of helping people understand the nuances of cannabis. The point of making it available everywhere is to get rid of the illicit market. It makes safe product available to those who choose to use it, and it will be taxed. The federal government has agreed to give 70% of the taxes from cannabis to provincial governments as long as it makes its way back to municipalities. It will not be available to children, just like cigarettes and alcohol are not. It is important for us to invest in training and education. Staff, bylaw, and police will all have to know how to deal with landlord and homeowner issues as well as smell issues. And we all need to also make sure that bylaws that we create, like no smoking in public places or parks, have exceptions for those who use medical marijuana. Let's work together to make sure that the transition goes as smoothly as possible.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn to Group 4. We'll start with, Scott, we can start with you in the middle. Do you support the amalgamation of some or all of Chatsworth, Georgian Bluffs, Meaford, and Owen Sound into one single-tier municipality if it could be demonstrated that it would be financially beneficial to all taxpayers? And I appreciate a complicated question, too.
Scott Gregg, I actually don't think it's that complicated. About a year or two ago, I presented a spreadsheet for council at budget which showed the comparison of the mill rate between Meaford, Chatsworth, and Georgian Bluffs. So I would throw it back at you. If you were a resident in those other municipalities and your mill rate is a 0.058 or a 0.064 and Owen Sounds is a 1.11, then you're not going to be very interested in combining your costs and absorbing the costs of the Owen Sound residents. We have to look at our own house. We have to work very hard at our own needs and taxes, but there will be no initiative from those residents to join Owen Sound. Absolutely none. Why would there be?
Thank you. Carol Merton, I agree. I have, prior to coming to Owen Sound, been part of several different organizations that have amalgamated or joined forces. It is much more than financial. It is about shared goals, common vision, prioritizing who gets what. And it often looks good on paper, but in reality, it is a deep, deep challenge. And I encourage, before we go forward with that, to again look at what we're doing here. Let's be creative. Let's move us forward first. Amalgamation isn't always the answer.
Thank you. Bill Twaddle. This question goes back to an earlier question about shared services. The question was asked about Georgian Bluffs. Since the mid-90s, there have been discussions about, well, the city made a proposal in the late 90s for amalgamation. It was soundly rejected by the surrounding municipalities for what they believed were very good reasons. Shared services between the city and surrounding municipalities have been challenging for many years. We've gradually made some improvements over time. This is a conversation that will take a long time because of the relationships that exist. I know the amalgamations that took place in 2000 still carry in some of our surrounding municipalities some deep animosities. It takes a long time to create a new municipality out of one or two different municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you. It must be Group 5's turn. I figure out things like that. What steps, if any, should council take to attract and retain educated young adults in this area?
Gail McCartney. It's a very important question for Owen Sound. I myself am a mother and a grandmother. My son and my grandchildren do not live here. Our children go away to school, become educated, get on with their successful lives elsewhere. I do believe that the answer is in growth, because with growth and development comes all things, comes new businesses, comes more money. even if I know I've heard people argue that maybe if we're too senior focused, but there's still all the support services and the things that come from even the growth of the senior population here. And I think that will improve the professional jobs and the jobs for our children and for ourselves, for the young ones up here, that they can live and work and stay in Owen Sound.
Danae Moores, great question. I am one of those. I was born and raised here in Owen Sound. I left and obtained my university education and established my nursing career in Ottawa. I then identified a gap in the home care sector and came home with a purpose. I established a home care community home services company. However, when I returned in 2016, there was no mentorship program established to ensure my success upon return. So therefore, I would focus on establishing a mentorship program for small business owners and young entrepreneurs that return home to our community to ensure their success.
Thank you very much. We're doing really well, so I'm going to improvise a tiny bit. I wonder in 30 seconds, I'm going to give each candidate a chance to touch on a question that they heard and may have really want to talk about from one of the other groups. So why don't I start with you? Yeah, sorry.
I had a store downtown. When I moved, and I moved my store to Collingwood for a short period of time because I could not find other locations to move into. There were storefronts. I approached the owners that did not want to rent out because they got a rebate, the 30% off. I think at that time I was baffled that the city of Owen Sound would give a rebate for an empty storefront building. I say, cut it back, give the money to the people who will actually rent out their buildings and beautify our town. Why are we supporting people who just don't care?
Thank you. I apologize to you, but we only have 30 seconds. So if you can put your 30-second sign up at the start of each answer, and then we'll. And it's just because it's the next. I'm changing the rules.
Ray Botten, I want to touch on downtown. No shelter, no safety. Let's be honest, a number of people here do not know how unsafe it is downtown, and I mean unsafe. I could tell you stories for an hour. I have 12 seconds left. Come see me downtown in front of the sanctuary. Let's reopen that, and let's have a brand new downtown together. Thank you.
Yeah, skills training. We just got 2 new factories coming to town. BWXT, that's going to be hiring somewhere in the neighborhood of 60, I believe, and Brotech. BWXT has got a job fair tomorrow for welders. We need skilled labor. We've got a shortage of labor in this community. We don't have a shortage of jobs. There's jobs, if you go through the factories, they're looking for people all the time. Grey County has just taken over or about to purchase, just got approval from the Board of Education, Blue Water Board, to buy the Sydenham School up in the East Hill. We'll be working with Georgian College, and the city's going to have to be involved to provide skills.
Thank you.
Just on the fire department, don't let anyone tell you that the association has suggested ways that we can save money. They have not. That 5-man clause that is in the contract currently, for us to keep that up, it costs us more than $200,000 a year. That represents 1% on your taxes. That has to change. Thanks.
Thank you. So, John, I'll start with you. Oh, yeah, I will start with you. I get mixed up with these numbers. 5's a big number for me. Please.
Do you want to start somewhere else? Or?
Well, no, start there. And we'll,
yeah, John Tamming, I just want to take up the cannabis stores. I just want to ask us, who of us, as we walk downtown, say to ourselves, gee, what this downtown really needs is 2 or 3 pot stores? That's not a moral judgment. It's simply a statement of aesthetics, and I'm sorry to put it that way. So I'm against them downtown, My contact at Queen's Park says we'll be able to keep them away from schools, but I don't think we'll be able to restrict them from downtown. So unfortunately, I think that means I'm against any pot stores in the city. Sorry. You can go to Meaford.
So very high-level discussion.
Travis Dodd, I would like to discuss amalgamation of services. We're seeing the replication of administration, waste management contracts, emergency services, sports and recreation, tourism. We're all paying these expenses. Nothing really is different from the uniqueness of what's going on in Owen Sound, Chatsworth, Georgian Bluffs, or Meaford. We all share a lot of the same similarities. We all have our own unique parts of our own individual city. However, there's so much sharing. We know Owen Sound is the hub of these cities. We have 45,000 people travel through 10th Street. So when we have amalgamation of those services, we have
Marion Kepke, I'd like to address the opting out of the cannabis sales. Council is currently awaiting a staff report on this issue, but I don't know that we are ready administratively to handle what is going to happen or what could happen. We need to look at zoning. We need to look at all kinds of regulation, policing, bylaw, all sorts of things. And once we see the staff report, we can make a better informed decision. But at the point right now, we have a one-time option of opting out, and I would certainly be in favor of that one-time option.
Thank you. Peter, could you start?
Yeah, Peter Lemon. The cannabis question poses a real problem. Right now, you can buy all kinds of marijuana in Owen Sound, in our schools and in the downtown and everywhere. There are dealers. What I would love to see are all those dealers closed down. Legalization of it will put them out of business. Yeah, we can say no to a store, but it'll locate just outside and you have the same effect.
Thank you.
Rael Warlow. I'd like to speak to the 30% tax break for vacant commercial spaces. I would like to see this incentive change from a blanket 30% reduction in tax rates into something that's more needs-based. We have the opportunity to fill our vacant spaces with something that we might be able to not otherwise. Not-for-profit groups like Sistema, which are temporarily housed in places like, well, Sistema's at Hillcrest right now, but they're looking for permanent homes. So if we can offer a 30% tax break, it might get them downtown.
Richard Thomas, I support legalized cannabis sales in Owen Sound. We tried prohibition here once, it didn't work out so well. Now, the applause doesn't count for my 30 seconds here. You know, I don't know when the last time anybody here bought something from a bootlegger when they wanted a drink, but legalizing alcohol in Owen Sound had the desired effect, and I believe legalizing cannabis sales in Owen Sound will have the same effect. And as the father of now young adults who are teenagers and we struggled with the dealers locally, I fully support legalized cannabis sales.
Thank you. So group 3.
Are you? No.
Brock Hamley. I would probably go back to the question about young people and opportunity. I work for a small tech company that does public consultations on the internet, and I get to work from home. And I cannot emphasize enough how important fiber internet is to that segment of the population, and how there are thousands upon thousands of people across this province that would love to come live in a community like Owen Sound if we had it. And you know, the SWIFT program is running behind, and they need more support from the federal and provincial governments, and I want to be a loud advocate for that.
Education. My name's Steve Hensa. I had been on the chamber for 6 years, and one thing that we did discuss, which is very, very important to this area, is the satellite university campus. There's limited courses at that college. There's people screaming to learn different things. We live in a high technology world today. We don't live in a factory world. Things have changed. We need something like that downtown.
Jackie Fertner. I'd also like to speak to youth coming back. There's this example I've heard of the kid who grew up on a farm listening to his father talk about how farming's going downhill and I don't like it and I wake up in the morning and he grumbles about it, and then when his kid turns 18 and moves away to university, he's shocked that he doesn't want to take over the farm. I think a lot of it is us having a good perspective and perception of our town and making people believe and youth believe that there is something here when they come back. If they want to go and explore and get educated and get life experience and come back to be our next leaders.
And back to the drugs. I want to address the issue of cannabis from a different perspective. I believe that council has a responsibility to have a policy where health is in every policy, whether it's around drugs, low-income housing, homelessness. If we look at healthy neighborhoods, healthy individuals, people living above the poverty line by having a health in every policy we pass, then I think it moves us forward rather than the specific issue to look generally.
Scott Gregg. As a downtown business owner, I could elaborate on why I said no and was the only one on parking being free downtown, but I'm going to choose vacancy rebates because I was the individual that motioned to bring it forward for a report at last budget, and it's been demonstrated not to be effective or the catalyst for which it was intended in other municipalities, which is why it's being dropped all over the province at this point. So if in doubt, I'd say jump on the Brook school, public bus, ride 23rd Street and see how comfortable you are and ask yourself, would you rather have that $160,000 on road resurfacing or vacancy?
Bill Twaddle. Sat through a police services board meeting this morning where we had reports on the drug squad's activities over the summer. Tens and thousands of dollars of illicit drugs were seized, drug-making paraphernalia, illegal, and to be illegal under the new regime, marijuana products, among other things, fentanyl, which is a deadly drug these days. I support cannabis sales within the city, but not, of course, in the downtown.
Danae Moores, and I'm going to continue the hot topic this evening on legalized cannabis. It makes good business sense to allow this to come to our city. It creates more jobs. It assists in emptying those empty storefronts or filling those empty storefronts and creates our industry. This is going to be a regulated industry and it's going to be legal. As a nurse, I have seen firsthand the positive effects legal cannabis can have on illnesses and disease processes. The fact the federal government has already and/or is in the process of legalization makes this a moot point.
Gail McCartney, I'm going to use the issue of the 30% tax rebate as a sneaky way to say I find it extremely unhelpful to call the downtown dangerous. I live downtown. I love downtown. It's not that there aren't some issues, but it is not an unsafe place, and that's very unhelpful for people that do business downtown. Some great new businesses downtown. Come down. It's an exciting place. We need to work on it. I agree with Mr. Tammy that we need a structured way to bring this together, but we can do it, and it's great. Come and see.
Thank you all. We're now going to turn to questions from the audience. I wonder if I can give you like a 1 minute, if anyone wants to stand up. If not, we'll just plow right ahead, but you know, just give you 1 minute to sort of relax and then we'll just get right back at it. And don't go away because it's literally 1 minute. I've lost him. I've lost the audience. I'm sorry, because otherwise you don't know where to go. Yeah. With the audience questions, the first one is to the table at the front. And it relates to, it's a long question, it was given by one of the audience, it relates to inclusionary zoning regulation. Last spring, the province enacted its final form of inclusionary zoning regulation, outlining how municipalities may implement these new powers for the provision of affordable housing in new residential developments. Many municipalities across Ontario are considering implementing inclusionary zoning or have already included this tool in their official plan, including the City of Barrie. What is your view on inclusionary zoning, and do you support adopting it in Owen Sound to help alleviate the growing need for decent, affordable housing in our community?
Ray Botton, I can honestly say I haven't researched this question, but if I understand it correctly, would that mean someone who has a $500,000 house, someone beside them would be able to put in a $100,000 house that is much more smaller in scale, then all of a sudden your neighborhood becomes different because you're used to the nice house? I don't know. It's maybe a question with a question. I don't know.
Thanks, Ian Boddy. So what this is about is the province now allows municipalities to take somebody doing a subdivision. They're going to do 60 houses, they're going to do 100 houses, and tell that developer that they must do a certain percentage, 5%, I can't remember the exact amount. It's my understanding the municipality has to kick back money to that developer to make it work, if I'm correct. We will be looking at the official plan coming up in this term, and so there's a chance to look at it then. This works in Toronto, this works in Barrie, this works in places where you're charging $40,000 for development charges and getting away with it because they're still building hundreds of houses. We don't have that in Owen Sound. We're fighting to get builders to build in this town at times, and that's why we lowered the development charges. So it's something that you gotta look at really carefully. Is it going to scare a developer away so they don't do it because they're going to have to do a percentage of their development to affordable? Big question. Thanks.
I would say yes, I am for it. I don't think it's a bad idea to mix the rich and poor. I think for, the struggling, I think it keeps us human, it keeps us on track, it keeps us caring, and I'm definitely for this. I also think that we should be reaching out to Habitat for Humanity builds and giving them, a helping hand to find lands to build here in Owen Sound.
I have no problem with it. I live in a new subdivision. There's lots of empty lots. If there's a duplex that goes up, I have nothing to say about it. I have no problem with it at all. It's going to be new, just as new as the rest of the homes. If you look at the future plans of Red Hawk that are looking to go in across the road from the hospital on 8th Street, their plans are the same. There's townhouses, there's everything. It's completely mixed. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Thank you. Group 1, the subject matter is River Precinct Plan. How exactly do you see the River Precinct Plan improving the downtown area, especially since it is centered along 2nd Avenue East and not along the river? All we see from the river along 1st Avenue East are the back doors of downtown businesses, not realistically the most conducive for patios or cafes envisaged in the plan. So I hope I've expressed that right.
Peter Lemon. Well, to answer you, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The problem is, when I was a young boy, we dumped sewage into the Sydenham River. Now, we don't do that anymore, but we haven't cleaned the area up to make it attractive. Now, there's one store downtown in the hardware business, and I understand he does a huge amount of his business through his, quote, back door. We've got to make the area a people place and then more people will fix up their back entrances to make them something attractive.
Riel Warlow. I'm really excited about the River Precinct. I think that any addition to green space and encouraging folks to be outside is a positive for the city. I think that we have to be really careful to be open and communicate with the folks who live downtown, and especially the business owners, to make sure that their needs are being met. There are some concerns about parking and washrooms and that type of thing, and I think that because we're starting from scratch, we get to build it in a way that's going to be beneficial to everybody. So I think that, I'm excited about the River Precinct, and it's absolutely going to make Owen Sound a nicer place to live.
I think you said 2nd Avenue East, but the River Precinct plan...
I didn't. The questioner did.
The questioner did. Thank you. The River Precinct plan is focused entirely on 1st Avenue, east and west, from 8th to 10th on both sides of the river. Phase 1 is on the east side near City Hall. I think it will go a long way towards improving the look down there. Something that a lot of people don't understand is Owen Sound's facade renewal program, which many downtown businesses have used, actually applies to the back of the businesses as well. So there is a tool in place for property owners to use to improve the backs of their businesses so that we can create a welcoming public space looking out towards the river.
Thank you. So we'll go over to group 2. And the question is, Owen Sound's waste and recycling program is quite limited compared to other cities. What would you do to expand such waste and recycling services?
In all candor, John Tamming here. In all candor, I've given no thought to that question. I do know this, that China doesn't want a lot of our recycled goods anymore, and it's becoming a huge problem across the province what to do with the stuff. I think recycling is going to have to be looked at all over again. I commend an article in the Walrus to Everyone, which the latest Walrus on the Blue Box program. It is not working. It's a feel-good gesture for the most part. And it's time that we rethink what we're doing with respect to that. That's not a left and that's not a right perspective on the topic. It's just a realistic fact that a lot of this stuff is getting landfilled. But I'm happy to stare at that topic some more. Those are my off the head topics.
Travis Dodd. Waste management. This is what can go right back to amalgamation of services. We have Georgian Bluffs, who has the biodigester. We have organic product, but right now when we were looking at this before, it was going to cost us just as much money to take it to the trash in the landfill as it was to send it to an organic farm. We need to start working with our municipal neighbors and being able to if Meaford can do it, Owen Sound can do it, Georgian Bluffs can do it, take it all into one facility under one contract. We can all do the same thing. When we talk about waste management, about just picking up bi-weekly opposed to weekly, same thing. We need to start looking at our contracts on a regional level. We can all save money as a municipality for Owen Sound, municipality of Meaford, and municipality of Georgian Bluffs. We need to start working together. That's the part of our future. The future of Owen Sound is working together. So that's what I would support. I would support organics program, I would support working at contract services with our neighboring municipalities.
Marion Kepke, this is going to sound like a repeat of Travis, but I certainly agree that on my top of my list would be green bins and biodigesting those green bins, working with the neighbors. Their staff are constantly reviewing the types of products that we put in our recycle and recently removed styrofoam. We need to look at resources on various products that we can recycle and try and get some products that are going back to the waste or out of the waste and into recycling more so. But I certainly would like to see green bins. I know it's not certainly affordable the way we've been looking at it right now, but we need to partner with our neighbors or look at some type of area where we can use the biodigesters and green bin products, organics.
Thank you. Group 2, I'm pointing now because evidently for Rogers TV, they need to know where to point their cameras. Makes some sense. Group 3, what plans would you put in place or develop to provide public transportation out of Owen Sound? So to enter other related communities, let's say Meaford or Georgian Bluffs or other neighboring communities.
Yeah, Brock Hamley. I believe that this has been started and that the province has given the city some funds to start to work on this. We definitely need to continue to push that forward and because it is very hard for some people to get around, not just in Owen Sound, but into other areas that are, like our buses don't go up to the West Hill, right? So, those are things that we need to be constantly aware of and working on.
Steve Hensa, transit should be deemed essential service everywhere up here. Somehow we have to allocate or find funds. I talked to a lot of my clients who are physicians at the hospital, and they said in Owen Sound they have the highest number of missed appointments because people cannot make it to the doctor. So that's extremely unfortunate. We've got to correct that.
Jackie Fertner, that's a great question. I'm still have a lot of learning to do on this one, but I think, as Travis said with waste management, is this something, if we're going to be doing transportation through other communities, is this something we can work with the other communities to share the cost of? Because it is essential that people can get to where they need to go within the city, and there are places people need to go for medical appointments or personal reasons that should be available to them at all times. Thank you.
So is that group finished? So going on to group 4. This question is concerned with enforcing bylaw standards, property standards. And the questioner wants to know, for those people who have been on council, why have not property standard bylaws been upheld? And for new candidates, are you in favor of enforcing or toughening property standard bylaws and enforcing them?
Well, I'm a new candidate in this election, but I was on council for 17 years previously. Enforcing property standards bylaw has been a challenge for the city from time immemorial. Most of the bylaws are enforced on a complaint basis, so if nobody complains, nothing gets done. I believe that we need to have more proactive enforcement of property standards bylaws. I initiated, when I was on council before, a program of actual inspections, and particularly in the broader downtown area, which has become in some ways a low-rent housing district. With the enforcement of property standards, we need to reinvigorate the community improvement plan. And that's a plan whereby landlords who improve,
Scott Gregg. Actually, that was a topic that this council did look at in the previous term. We have one gentleman, a new individual on staff, who brought with him experience from other municipalities and led an initiative to create a more streamlined yard maintenance bylaw. And alongside property standards, those are generating a lot of complaints. But what it's doing is, yes, it does take a period of 4 to 6 weeks initially to go through the notice period given, allowing the person time to respond and correct the situation. But in the future, with future complaints, it's allowed the city to go in much quicker, be much more reactive, and from what I've been told by many people, it's been a much more responsive and effective initiative. So I think I congratulate him on bringing that forward, and I mean, we're always looking to improve, but I think we have made some steps.
Carol Merton. One of the issues around property bylaws is it can marginalize those who are most vulnerable when you have a complaints-based system. Those who are in fear of losing the home that they have by speaking up are disadvantaged. I would like to suggest a combination of both complaints-based and a standardized routine bylaw enforcement where homes are inspected. I am sure that the city knows the certain locations that potentially need to be evaluated more often, and I would encourage that. Healthy homes mean a healthy community, and it's important for all, no matter what their income level or no matter what their education level.
So for the group on group 5, should our local municipal governments have a greater role in school board decisions that affect school closures?
Wow, thanks. That's been a hot topic. I actually had a really good conversation with two people that are running for the school board. It's not an area I know a great deal about. My son is 36. It's been a while. And she told, one of the candidates told me she was concerned that there wasn't enough community involvement and public awareness of what was really happening when it happens to accommodations and the school closures and things. It was a bit of an eye-opener for me. So I guess my answer is yes, more information is got to be better, and I would like to see it as maybe more help rather than in a negative way. So good luck with that, Danae.
Thank you, Danae Morse. Short answer, this is not a 30-second answer at all. This is something that I don't know a great deal about, however, would welcome the opportunity to give you an educated answer in the near future. I feel like there has to be more public input on these matters that directly impact our future generations to come and what that may do going forward for them.
Thank you. Another question that came from the audience, I don't have it in front of me, but I know the question, and I'll address it to this group. And it was with respect to award system and the whole issue of, is this the best way to select councillors and make decisions, the current kind of system that we have, or is there a way that we could have what they say is more democratic representative, or runoff ballots, or alternatives like award system? Is the system the best we can do? Is there things that we would do to improve it? Mayor Boddy, I'll start with you in this one.
Thanks.
I only read the question.
I wrote a great paper on this back in 1852 when I was in university, and do you think I could remember it now? For Owen Sound, no, but if we were able to amalgamate with our surrounding townships, and absolutely, so that you'd end up with, for instance, four wards within Owen Sound and 4 around, so that it is equal, and the rural municipalities have an equal way of voting. Within Owen Sound, the way it is now, I think we've probably got the best system right now.
Nancy Lee, I think our system works the way it is, and I think we should stay with it for now, unless we are going to amalgamate.
I like the system the way it is. You know, one of the things no one really talks about is the way we're set up now, and the relationship with city staff makes a big difference in how things function. And one of the things that this council's had the opportunity to do is, you know, we've added Wayne Ritchie as our city manager, Dennis Kafalis and Kate Allen in addition. And the way this council is set up now, I think it just makes it functional.
Ray Botten, I'm not sure how this is going to go, what I'm going to share. I do believe that what Mayor Boddy said was accurate. It's good. I think our system is good. However, this here is the smoking gun. On our street, we have an electoral problem because this was found on our street, and I was made aware of our electoral process. This is numbers and a PIN number of voting. So we have a compromised system tonight, and we have a real problem. We, together, are not going to have a fair election. Here it is right here. Okay?
Thank you. Going to group 1, And it concerns, it's a question that several people have asked with respect to how best can we get value for money with our limited tax dollars in Owen Sound? What things would you cut and what innovative approaches would you take in order to make better advantage with the tax dollars we have?
Well, I think the tendency in the past, and it still continues in some municipalities, is to look at the little fish. You got to go after the whales. And our whale is emergency services. And we are doing that, and that is where we're going to get significant savings. 47%, I believe, of our budget to 50% goes to emergency services. That's a huge cost. We can't afford it, and that's where we have to go.
Riel Warlow. You can't cut taxes without cutting services. And that's something that I think that is really hard to swallow as a taxpayer. I just bought a house, so I understand just how big of a pill that can be. I think that we should focus on being creative about delivering services. I think we should focus on providing the best quality of service for the folks who pay taxes and live in Owen Sound. But I think to say that we're just going to cut taxes is irresponsible and frankly baseless.
That's a great point, Riel. I agree completely with two previous speakers. I think that emergency services are a big problem. One of the first things we did when we were elected in 2014 as a council was initiated a service analysis review, which did find $800,000 in annual savings, which was immediately implemented by council. You know, if you want taxes to go down, our focus has certainly been on promoting development within the community. Because really, what do you want to cut? Do you want to cut snow plowing? Do you want to sell off some city parks? I mean, it really does come down to those kinds of questions if you want to bring the taxes down. I think that we have a responsible city staff who are excellent stewards, and I think council has the oversight there. And I think, personally, I think we're doing a great job. And the way to go from my perspective is to continue on the track that we've had to promote development and growth in this community.
Thank you very much. We'll go over to group 2. Would you support weekly garbage pickup in the summer months? There are 2 or 3 people have asked this. They said that their garbage festers in the hot weather. Would you support weekly blue box year-round? Would you support curbside compost? When will it happen? We need to recycle styrofoam. So that was the question. It really comes down to recycling, I guess, again.
You go ahead.
I think it's kind of disgusting in the summer not to take my garbage away every week, so I'd certainly be in favor of that. As far as the other, I've already spoke to the recycling issue. Compost I did not touch on, but I definitely think we have to look at helping Georgian Bluffs use its biodigester. For those of you who don't know, they really need help with that thing. They need to pay for it, and why not do it? So yes, I'm in favor of that.
Travis Dodd, it's ironic this question came back to me. We can do anything for a price. We can pick up your garbage once a week. We can pick up your recycling once a week. What that means is that we probably have to buy a new garbage truck, which means a capital expense for $150,000 to pick up your garbage. Once again, so I can take that. We can do a lot of things during the budget process. We can do anything the city wants as a service, but there is a price to it. And that price is just going to come back on your taxes. So it's okay. If that's what everyone wants, then that's fair. We can do it. Regarding weekly garbage pickup for bi-weekly or weekly, absolutely. If that's what something wants to do, we could look into it. But once again, I'd go back to saying, look at our contracts on a more of a regional level. Weekly recycling, same thing. Those are different trucks, different capital costs depending on which routes they're riding in. So once again, who's sharing with those expenses with us? Organics, I've already expressed my opinion on that. Meaford does do it. Right now they send theirs, I believe, to Arthur. Is that something that we could do with Georgian Bluffs and have it as a whole in a region? So yes, thank you.
Marion Kepke, it's unfortunate that we've been slammed with 2 recycle-type questions because it doesn't give
I apologize. If I was a brighter person, I would have realized that I flipped them both to you. Answer something else if you want.
That's okay. I hate to say ditto, but that's exactly what it is. If people want weekly garbage pickup, then they have to pay for it. And it does cost the city a whole lot more money to do that. Maybe there's something that can be worked out, that we look at the different quadrants, and this quadrant gets it for 2 weeks and then another quadrant another. But it still is going to cost money. I'm certainly in favor, as I mentioned before, of organic pickup at the curbside. I wish we could afford that, but we've looked at it and it currently is not affordable. I certainly am in favor of looking at our partners and neighbors and as far as biodigesting goes.
So group 3, simple question, challenging answer, I guess. What would you do to support the arts in Owen Sound?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a big sports guy, so I really don't have a whole ton to say on the arts issues, but I know we do have a really big gem with the Tom Thompson Museum, and you know, I'm a big supporter of that, so that's really all I have to contribute to that part of the debate.
Steve Hensa, I'm 2,000% in favor of arts. Arts are where it's happening now. Younger people, my generation, they're buying independent art. That itself is creating more of an economy. I'll give a quick example. The Hamilton Art Crawl started small. There's 100,000 people there. And by the way, Charles Meanwell is there, who used to live here, and he said he's doing amazing. And he never could have done it here. We've got to embrace the art community. We got to get our core, this area, funky, full of artists.
Jackie Fertner. I have been so thrilled to see all of the galleries that are opening up in town. It complements the Tom wonderfully, the murals that are happening, the festivals, the music, the music venues we have. I think the arts and culture is really our sort of our niche. And I think supporting that and leveraging it for those of us who live here to enjoy, but also to bring in tourists and more people to live here, I think is absolutely incredible. And even small programs, say the murals that are happening in town, maybe every year we whitewash them and bring in either the same artists or new artists, and it brings people down again to look at it, and it changes things up, and it just creates such a welcoming feeling downtown, which I think is something that we really need to build on. Thank you.
Thank you. For the group 4, the question is, what would you do about the rising crime rate in town? Is there one, I guess, and what would you do to address it? Maybe I'll start with you, Scott, because you've got some background in.
Well, the first thing I would have to do is confirm that there's actually numbers that validate that there is a rising crime rate. There's two factors, or two obvious numbers people look at: rising crime rate and violent crime. And they may not be rising in parallel. They may not be rising at all. But I was an individual who had an individual in my store in January, and within 5 seconds of leaving my store was arrested outside of it for attempted murder. I was probably the last guy he dealt with. That's kind of a concern. I can't hire people in my business if we've got a climate downtown that condones that. I have a real concern with individuals who are coming to our community not from our community. Very hard subject to discuss, but I think at some point we have to have that difficult discussion. Now, I'm not saying that they're a cause of crime, but.
Bill?
The crime rate, the real crime rate in Owen Sound is not rising. Our police force is doing a good job. One of the major issues that takes a lot of their time are issues around mental health, and these are really not crimes, they're social issues. Stranger on stranger crime in the downtown is very low. Most of the activities and the assaults are between people who know each other and are having challenges. There was a break-in in the building where my daughter has her office. It was discovered at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the suspect was caught and the stolen property returned. I think there's a perception more than a reality around rising crime rates in Owen Sound.
Sorry, I had my phone on so I could tell the time, but it caught up with me. I apologize.
Carol Merton. What I'm hearing from people is, again, the perception of feeling uncomfortable in certain sections in downtown and the concern around some of the clinics. I think it would help if we looked again at the zoning and where clinics are located. We do need to provide the social networks and the supports for those with the mental and social issues that give the perception of the difference in crime. So I do support looking at it again, encouraging the city to look at other ways to give the perception of a safe town. We want people to come here and we want them to come downtown.
Thank you. Group 5, what action would you take to support alternative transportation in the city of Owen Sound, bicycles, walking, and non-motorized transportation?
Danae Moores. We've done a good job, the best we can, at keeping our costs down currently with our transit system. However, it's currently operating at a subpar level. The short answer is that there's no fat to trim on our current transit system. More bike lanes is the answer, in my opinion. How many share the road stickers have you seen on local vehicles in this community? That means that there's a greater support for more bike lanes within the community. More bikes downtown, that's where I would bike too. I ask you this, how much is bike parking?
Gail McCartney. I certainly see a lot of bikes around town. It's encouraging. It's a great form of transportation. We'd all probably be a little less fatter too if we used it more. I support that. We do have a geographic reality with alternative forms of transportation because of where we live. Unfortunately, for a good half of the year, depending what's happening with global warming, we're going to have to use motorized transportation, and we have to look at those issues. Anything that supports in better weather alternative transportation, sure, it's a great idea. It's good for our environment. It's good for our health. I would support that. Thank you. Gail McCartney.
Thank you very much. We're almost getting to the end of the session, but I have one question that I'm going to, because it's the senior levels of government, I'm going to ask the mayoral deputy mayor table this question. It's a bit loaded, but it's a question from the audience. Many of the top city officials do not live in Owen Sound and do not pay city taxes, but city taxpayers pay their large salaries. Should top city officials be either one, forced to live in Owen Sound and pay city taxes, or if they choose to live outside of Owen Sound, have their salaries reduced by amount equivalent to the average city taxes? I'll start. I just read the questions.
Honestly, I have no problem with it. If they live outside the city, that's just fine. I know that, our friend John Tamming's building his $3 to $4 million dream home in Cobble Beach in the township of Georgian Bluffs, and he's running for council in Owen Sound. Like, you can do anything now.
There, you get to go next.
Whoa.
Would you like to respond to that?
I find that an unfortunate slam, and I hope it's not typical of Mr. O'Leary. I spend 90% of my time in this town. I'm close to a workaholic. I eat, I do the culture, I do everything. Where I sleep is nobody's, well, it's somebody's business. Careful. I think that's a cheap dig, and I really resent it. Just because I'm 15 minutes north, the mayor of London had that for a few years. I'm not a paid city employee. I do agree it's frustrating, but to see city people live outside the city. But The Charter of Rights applies to them, and the Supreme Court of Canada decided that a long time ago, so that's the short answer.
Thank you.
But I'm very disappointed.
Thank you.
Ray Boughton, anyone should be able to live where they want, and like John said, you know, we as Canadians can live anywhere we want. That is our privilege. However, why are a number of city workers that have spoken to me moved out because the taxes are high and they're living here? They told me that. As far as the senior management, they need a 50% cut. They're way too high for a small city. They do a great work, but there are many more of us who, as Canadians, 85% live paycheck to paycheck. So mostly everyone in here, if you think you're making a lot of money, well, you're really, most of you are not. The ones that are privileged, and I'm sure that's great. But it's time to deal with the issue. Homeless shelter. Eh?
Thank you. Mayor Bowdy?
Thank you. I don't think the labor laws would allow us to start to fine people for living outside of town. I'm thinking one example of an employee who, through marriage, is living in fourth or fifth generation in the family home. And so what are you supposed to say? No, you can't live outside of town in that family home? You have to get separated to work for this city. Well, the thing that does fascinate me is when the firemen tell us that we cannot go to, that it's not safe to go to volunteer fire departments, but yet they're all living outside of Owen Sound where they've got volunteer fire departments. Same with the police where they've got OPP. Not good enough for us, good enough for them, their families, their houses. I find that fascinating, but there's not much we can do about it.
Thank you. Nancy Lee?
I think if somebody's passionate enough to step forward, to take on a role, to help our city move forward, out of town, in town, it would be nice if we all paid taxes or contributed. I'm sure they come into town to work, they're buying their lunches, they're buying products that they need in their home, so we benefit it anyways.
Thank you very much. I wonder, with the indulgence of the group, I gave 2 recycling questions to group 2, which I think was, I didn't focus on it. So I'm going to ask one extra question if everyone else agrees. And I'd like you to, the group, and it comes from 3 or 4 questions I've had, to address why or why not we should own the Billy Bishop Airport.
Marian Kepke, I think that we should own the Billy Bishop because it's certainly an amenity to an urban center, and I know there are lots of cost issues related to the Billy Bishop, but I think we need to look at it from the other end and the other side of things. Look at ways that we can improve that and get more traffic in there. I just think it's a valuable asset for an urban center, and I think it's moving backwards if we close it. We need to encourage more private ownership of hangars there, and to me, it's just a valuable asset that we need to build upon.
Travis Dodd. One of the questions we first discussed on economic development before I was even on City Council was about how we could utilize the Billy Bishop Airport in another way to help revitalize our town. We see big corporate CEO executives down in Kitchener, Waterloo, and what do they want to do? They want to go golfing. They want to enjoy a nice meal. Maybe they want to come down to Milkmaid, or maybe they want to experience something that Owen Sound has, some unique experience. Create a package where they'd be able to fly into the Billy Bishop Airport, experience our city, take it in, and that would be an opportunity for them to kind of, for one, see our city, 2, be able to utilize our airport. Second option on that, we have contractual obligations at the airport. We start pulling out of the airport. We have a lot of contracts that are in place now for another 20-something years, and I'm going to tell you, a fiscally responsible idea would not be to cancel those contracts at this point. So what do we have to do? We have to find and revitalize a way to utilize that airport and make it more beneficial and cost-effective for the taxpayer.
John Tamming. I trust what Travis is saying about the contracts. I was not aware of 20-year contracts. I suspect there might be a way out of them. I really believe it's time to use it or lose it, and we've been trying to make that airport fly for a long time. It's great amenity. I don't disagree with that. It's a terrific thing to say, but give it 4 years, and if there still isn't chartered flights coming through there, it's done. And again, that's subject. No, sorry, I shouldn't interrupt my own applause. But again, that's subject to what Travis said about the 20-year contracts. That's news to me. I obviously don't want to be irresponsible.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're now coming to the close of the meeting and the summation statements. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, just 5 or so minutes. So I'm going to ask each candidate to give a summation statement of why they wish to be elected to City Council. But I'm going to give them an extra 10, this is a challenge for the timers, I'm going to give them an extra 10 seconds. So I'm going to give them 40 seconds instead of 30 seconds. And I'm going to start with Group 5. So your summation statements, please.
Danae Morse, thank you. This evening has been a great opportunity to hear from the other candidates and what issues are important to them. We all didn't get the opportunity to answer every question. So, as best I can, I will be posting my responses to the other questions posed this evening on my Facebook page so you can all learn a little bit more about me. I want to be your city councillor and I want to earn your support. With me, you'll have accountability, transparency, integrity, and an action-oriented city councillor. I ask for you on election day, vote Danae Morse.
Thank you, Gail McCartney. I've had a great time here tonight, except for that question on schools, which is not a municipal issue, but I'll move beyond it. I love this city. I love living here. I love being part of it, part of the community. I have 25 years working in organized real estate in this town. It gives me a certain amount of knowledge about what community needs are and what people that move to this community and their needs are. I think I have insight that I can be helpful with. I hope you will consider using one of your 7 votes for City Council to mark Gail McCartney, and it was great to see you all here tonight.
Thank you. We'll now move to Group 4.
Thank you. Owen Sound is my community of choice. I first moved here in 1967. Almost all of my working life has been spent in Owen Sound. Actually, all of it has been spent in the downtown of Owen Sound. I have a proven commitment to informed decision-making. You can ask any member of staff, you can ask any member of council for all the time that I've served. You can ask people I've served on committees with. I do the homework, I come to the meetings prepared. I know how to ask the challenging questions to make sure that I have, and all the rest of council has, all the information possible in order to make an informed decision. Please support me on October 22nd. Thank you.
Scott Gregg. Owen Sound is on the move. We have many new residents locating here for our amenities and great quality of life. Who could blame them? Our challenges of affordable housing to meet needs, the tax burden on you, the taxpayer, and an environmentally sound community with strong public transit continue. I believe that I have demonstrated this past term of council and provide for you the character necessary to continue working on these and other challenges. It has been a great pleasure and privilege representing you the last 4 years, and I ask for your support again. Thank you.
Carol Merton. I have lived in Owen Sound for 18 years. I am a homeowner, taxpayer, business owner and developer, a community volunteer, a healthcare provider, and I have raised children here in this community. I call Owen Sound home. I am committed to the city, to our future together, and I will work hard for you. Please vote Carol Merton for Owen Sound Council.
So before I worked for the company that I do now, I worked for a member of parliament and a minister of the crown. And in that experience, I got to work with the federal level of government, the provincial level of government, and the municipal level of government. I've knocked on thousands of doors this summer And the one thing that I've learned is that this election is about what kind of Owen Sound you want 10 years from now. And I believe that I deserve your vote because while I may only be 28 years old, my life story as well as my experience and knowledge of all levels of government make me an ideal person to get down to work and solve a lot of the problems that we have.
Steve Hensa again. A couple things I want to touch on. Didn't we talk about all this stuff 4 years ago? Didn't we talk about this stuff 8 years ago? And it keeps coming up. It keeps resurfacing. I can't believe the parking debate has went on for 4 decades. I'm embarrassed that a decision can't be made. If I'm on council, I'm a little more outspoken. I'm out there. I've been on several city committees. I'm very entrenched in the community. I'm very well versed in financing. I've got a lot of key lenders, key investors in the city who like Owen Sound. I keep dialogue open. It's about communication and building relationships. Vote Hensa.
Sorry, this chair is really close to the wall. All right, Jackie Fertner. I'm fortunate to have the experience and knowledge that comes with being involved in the business community as well as the community as a whole. I've attended conferences that have inspired me to learn more about building strong, safe, healthy, vibrant, and economically sustainable communities. I hope to have the opportunity to build on the positive initiatives already happening and to bring new ideas to strengthen our community as well. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. My contact information is on my flyer in the next room. I moved back here because I love this city, and I hope to be able to work with all of you. Thank you.
Marion Kepke. Thank you, first of all, to the Chamber and the DIA for putting on this event tonight so that the people of Owen Sound can get to know their candidates. Why I should be re-elected. I'm experienced. I was a municipal employee for 26 years, serving as deputy clerk and clerk. Took 4 years off and decided that with encouragement of friends, family, and my husband to run for council and was successful. I feel that things are just getting started with council and I certainly would like to be there to see them move on. Council needs a good balance of men, women, youth, and maturity, and I can certainly bring 2 of those elements. That cannot be 40 seconds.
Travis Dodd. Mary, you can have 10 seconds of mine, but I have worked hard over the past 4 years as your representative to help put procedures in place for our young professionals, our residential and commercial developments, and ensuring that our services are meeting the needs of our residents. I promise to bring dedication, leadership, and an open mind to all of our decisions. I see my future family growing up here. I see your children. I see your grandchildren, all having more opportunities in the city. But this is only the beginning. Change has just begun, and I have more work to do. I'm asking for your support on October 22nd, so please vote Travis Dodd for Owen Sound City Councillor.
John Tamming. T.S. Eliot once said of our age that all is gesture and there is no motion. And I think what Steve said about 4 years ago, we were sitting here talking about some of the same things. Council has done a very decent job, I think. They've set the table. They've ordered the police costing report. They've ordered the fire report. They've done the Riverside. There's not a shovel in the ground, and to my knowledge, none of the professionals or none of the emergency services people have lost $1 yet. Sorry, I should speak into the mic. It's time to get past the gestures and to get into the motion. It takes a...
Thank you. Peter, I'll start with you.
Thank you. Peter Lemon. I just want to say I've enjoyed the meeting tonight. It's good to hear your input because I believe as a councillor, we must listen. And I pledge, if re-elected, I will listen to you, the ratepayers. I want to hear what you think. And once I've found out what you want, I will work for you. We each have one vote on council. My vote will go to move the city ahead as we have in the past 4 years. We're seeing growth like we haven't had for many, many years. But you have a council that works together cohesively in the best interest of everyone. Thank you.
Riel Warlow. If elected to City Council, I promise that I will work hard for you. I will try and bring your best interests to the table and try and be a unique voice. Owen Sound needs every voice at the table if we're going to move forward in any kind of reasonable way. I hope that you consider voting for Riel Warlow.
I think I drank a little too much water, so I'll forego my extra 10 seconds. After a long, long period of stagnation in Owen Sound, ladies and gentlemen, for the past 4 years, you've had a council that has shared a vision to move this community forward. I would encourage you to support as many of the incumbents as you can in the coming election. However, if you can only choose one, please make it me. Thank you.
So, Brian, I'm going to ask you to speak next, please.
That was good, Richard. To be honest, I love being a city councillor. If elected to the county level, I will commit to the same dedication, hard work, and determination that I bring to the table as a councillor, ensuring the voice of Owen Sound is heard. I relied on the experience and the knowledge of the veteran councillors until I gained some experience of my own. Today, I am proud to say I am an experienced councillor. I know it's important to the voters, that my roots run deep in this community. I know where we've been, and I look forward with optimism for great things to come to this city. Owen Sound has so much to offer. Owen Sound is definitely on the move.
I would love to be the mayor of Owen Sound because I think it's time we need change again. I put my hat in the ring, so to speak, because now I have the time and the energy. My 4 children have grown up and left the community, and it's just time for me to give back. I want to encourage better communication between the city and the residents of Owen Sound. Tonight was great for that reason. There seems to be a discord between the City Hall and the people. I would love to see online debates on community issues affecting residents and an online suggestion page where we can come together with ideas, whether it be for storefronts, new businesses, and
I want to thank all of you for coming. When we were in the back room, there wasn't a lot of people around, so I didn't realize there was so many out here. I want to thank everyone that's watching on TV. Please vote. It's always important to vote. We want your endorsement, or we want you to endorse somebody that you will endorse. I want to thank the host, the Chamber, Harmony Center, DA, Trent, and all the fellow candidates behind me. Clearly, we've got a very strong slate of candidates this election. Council has positioned our community for appropriate growth by making the right connections, fostering the right relationships. We've made investments towards economic growth, and we can't stop now. I've got 4 themes on a platform that's on a webpage called ianbody.ca. Please go and look, mostly because my son Hamish designed it, and it's amazing. I'm pretty proud of him. We've poured the foundation in the last 4 years. Now it's time to build our community on it. Please elect me as mayor again. Thank you.
Ray Botton. On Politically Speaking on Rogers TV, you can see the mayoral debate. I encourage everyone to see that because it'll give us because our short time here, you'll be able to see that. It's an hour program. You'll understand what I stand for and others too. Secondly, really first is why I put my name in the race is because those in need. And I've put my life on the line as well as some others who are good friends. Lastly, I want to share this. There is somebody here tonight that needs to know that they're loved and they're accepted and not rejected. And they could be you. God bless you.
Well, thank you all for those wonderful statements. We've reached our time limit. It's time to conclude. Rogers TV, as you know, cable television, has recorded this event for future broadcast. They will be publishing their schedule. The Chamber and the DIA will post the broadcast dates and times as soon as we can, and I know that Rogers will too. So on behalf of the Owen Sound District Chamber of Commerce, the Owen Sound Downtown Improvement Area, We wish to thank all the candidates for their commitment to our community by stepping forward to stand for election and by participating this evening. We'd also like to thank you. Yes, I think they do. We'd also like to thank you, the public, for attending this meeting. You're fulfilling an important role in our democracy. You have but one final step, actually it may be two in some cases, to complete, and that is to vote on October 22nd. The second step for some may be to ensure that you're on the registration and to register if you're not. I know sometimes that cannot happen, so be sure that you are in a position that you can vote. And I do want to say on my own behalf that there are many other good questions that were provided that if we'd had more time I would have addressed, but unfortunately time didn't permit this. Now for those of you who happen to reside in Georgian Bluffs, I guess I'm talking to the TV now, the Chamber will also be hosting an all-candidates meeting next Tuesday, October 2nd at the Shallow Lake Community Church from 7 to 9 p.m. Thank you for attending. Please drive safely.